something called Listen Principles, and it's an acronym. So L is for love, I is for inquiry, S is for symptoms as symbols, T is for touch, E is engage, and N is now. And I have tons of tips for every one of those stages, because they're all important to look at our body extremely holistically, because our mind affects our body also affects our mind. So we are one big happy family if we pay attention to all pieces. What I want to talk about, though, is the body, because there's a lot of things out there about the mind and self-care and self-love and all of that. But what people may not realize is that we are literally a process of regeneration. Our intestines, for example, regenerate every 3 days, the cells of the lungs every 4 weeks, the blood every 10 weeks, the DNA every 6 months, and on and on. So we are so beautifully made that if we can connect to our bodies better, in other words, simple things like paying attention to our body, to, like, we have feet, caress your feet, touch your feet, bring consciousness to the way we walk, the way we, it's called proprioception, the way we connect to how we stand in this world and how we walk in this world. Just bringing attention to that slows the mind and also connects us to our body. And another thing, I actually teach this, but it's a simple way of resetting the entire body. It's like a blueprint through the fascia and the fascial nervous system to reset the body so that it can start to work more optimally. So I think often people don't realize the power of touch, and we're in such a touch deprived, from all the lockdowns and all this. And touch is probably one of the most important things. Like, people need hugs, people need to connect. And I think to not be afraid of our own strength. We have been told to be in fear, and it's the very fear itself that is causing so many problems. You can hug yourself, you can touch your feet. Like, there are cultures that actually will work with feet, and there's, many things, but we have feet, we can reach, we can, there's nothing wrong with stroking our own body. The feeling of touch is so important. And we're in a society that kind of thinks, oh my God, that's weird. It's not. We need touch. It's a primary, what do you call it? A primary function that we know that, even from studies, chimpanzees that didn't have their biological parent to touch didn't have the same growth and were, ended up being malnourished and everything, even though they got everything from an artificial bottle and whatever. So touch is so important. And so if you can't get it from anyone else, then do it yourself. The brain doesn't know the difference. It's receiving all of the wonderful feelings of that. I think that meditation, yoga, any form of mindfulness, anything that stops the monkey brain, that makes us believe our thoughts. Because when we're in our thoughts, we are either in the future, which is anticipatory anxiety, or we're in the past where we're regretting, or et cetera, because typically they say we have 80% negative thoughts. So one of the things is to separate ourselves from our thoughts. We are not our thoughts, right? So anything that allows us to become more aware of the present moment, even things like, if I do the dishes, I will notice the water on my hands. And that brings me right to the moment. So the thoughts take a little break. And I notice the thoughts. And the other thing is a very simple thing with thoughts, but The job of thoughts is to keep thinking. They are not the truth. So if you've had that thought several times, I tell my patients, just put this thought and thank it, because it's there. Put it in a little cloud and then say goodbye. Thank you. I've had your thought. It really doesn't help us to re-engage it. We're never going to solve the problem with the mind that created the problem. We have to be in a different state. I think it's in that presence that we have greater awareness and greater connection also to our inner wisdom, right? Like, we all have messages. We all have intuitive knowing of many things. And there's a very big difference. To feel that, you need to be in that awareness, in that quiet space. Thoughts are completely different. And you can never find the end result of a thought. It just goes in circles.